last match of the day. It's time for the first set of match 6. Gentlemen, here we go.
Here we go with the pick and ban phase. There is probably going to be a Bastet pre-ban on the side of Chene, respecting the force that Unarmed brought to the table, and then Unarmed brings the Okeanos, which is obviously a really good counter to these kind of cleaves if they're run on very fast Swift set. So that is off the table for this first match. There's Artemil, first pick. He knows he's gonna pick Artemil somewhere in this game against Unarmed, and he's just gonna look at what Unarmed is gonna bring to adjust to that.
I totally agree with that, but we know that the Bulldozer is a huge counter on Chene's Artemil, and we saw the Bulldozer hit for 50k damage. I doubt that the Artemil is packing that much HP. Pairing the Bulldozer with his favorite Immensity, but Chene responding maybe with a Leica, which would be a pretty interesting choice. And the Vijat, yeah, we also knew that he had this unit in his pocket, and probably it's built on a very fast Swift build. Attack bar booster coming in with its own speed leader is a very good choice against unarmed Swift sets.
Yeah, it is a very good choice. Packing the speed leader, giving some boost, some anti-crit, which is also very huge against those kind of cleave comps. Then Unarmed response with, he's going on with this Bulldozer cleave with Olivia and Ganymede. There's probably going to be some pressure in the 5th pick of Unarmed, because otherwise it's going to be a ban on the Bulldozer. But Chene responding with the protection that he needs, the Terranius and maybe a Ragdoll.
He's choosing to opt for a Daphnis, also a great pick. Coupled up with Vejat's speed lead, he can snipe one unit off unarmed side. And I'd like to see an Odin sort of pick coming in from unarmed side, like a very hard-hitting and very strong unit against this defense-based comp coming in from Chene. Otherwise, as you said, Unarmed will be in a bit of a trouble.
Unarmed is definitely in a bit of trouble, because with the Odin, you are in some trouble with the Leica or Daphnis kind of situation. The Xian is very, very strong, of course, also against defense-based monsters, backing up 2 monsters that bring ignore defense, the bombs and the Bulldozer 3rd skill. So I'm happy to see this Xian again, and it's probably gonna be something like a Daphnis or Wedgeat ban on the side of Chene. It's gonna be Wedgeat, and there's a Xian taken off the board.
Yeah, totally. But the Bulldozer is gonna be able to nuke something right away, and we know Unarmed will be taking the first turn this game because of how strong his Swift sets are. But sadly, that Bulldozer is gonna have to nuke something down, not just once, not just twice, probably 3 times.
Yeah, a lot of times this Bulldozer has to show some damage, but there is a Bulldozer that is gonna be reset by the Ganymede 2nd skill, maybe being able to do it again. So there is the Artemil finished off. He indeed did not survive 50k nuke, and there is Olivia giving it back to Bulldozer. So Bulldozer is able to snipe off the second one, which
crazy.
is the Daphnis.
That's crazy. 2 units off the table already, and we're just a couple of turns into the game. Terranius chooses to revive the Artemiel, coming in with the defense buff. It's gonna be pretty scary, but this Justice is not doing as much damage as Chene wanted. The Bulldozer is still surviving.
And remember this Olivia proc, so Olivia has 2nd skill up again. So this can be very, very big on the side of Artemil. Is this Artemil able to survive the 1st skill of Bulldozer, or is this Artemil going to go down?
He does survive with the defense buff, but he is getting stunned, which is also pretty great for Unarmed. Things are looking crazy. These comps coming in from Unarmed, man, I cannot handle them.
It is so much fun, and I really love it as well. So puts the glancing on the Terranius, and you'll see that this Olivia is very fast on Violent, because she moved before every monster on the side of Chene moved, which is huge, because this proc on the side of Olivia, there were 2 3rd kills on the side of Bulldozer, sniping off 2 monsters, and this Artemil, if she doesn't get enough attack bar, it's gonna be dead.
Yeah, that Artemil is going down, and this Tyrannus is reset, so it's this third skill nuke will be able to take out the Tyrannus easily, but Unarmed will be facing a little bit of a problem because that Leica is gonna be pretty scary coming into the 3 wind units.
Wow. Yeah, he was unlucky there with the not being able to stun it, and suddenly there is a Leica on the field that at first maybe not, but now he's looking so scary.
Looking
so
very
scary.
I actually, all of a sudden, I am favoring Chene in this rep. That Leica will be able to solo that glancing buff on him. Doesn't mean anything because thanks to his passive he is not glancing, as you can see, and he's healing up a lot with his S1.
Yeah, skill 1 with the most recent buff heals up so much HP, and with not that much pressure on the side of Unarmed, not a lot of damage for fire, it's gonna be really hard to deal with this Leica. And this Leica is brought back by Chene. He used it in 2017 SWC regionals for Europe, and he brings it back in 2020.
Absolutely, and this Leica is all of a sudden looking like the correct ban. Of course, it's easy to say it once the game has been going on for so long, but I do not see Vejat doing as big of a difference as this Leica has in this game. So maybe for the upcoming games, this Leica will be possibly a pre-ban target or at least a ban target.
Yeah, and then again, there was on the side of Chene, there were a couple of threats. If the Vejat would buff up the defense with attack bar, maybe Olivia wouldn't have taken a first turn before Tyrannus, etc., and wouldn't be able to give Bulldozer another option to snipe one monster off the bat. So I really like the composition of Chene going in with some pressure, but then also enough protection for his Leica.
Yeah, I mean that was incredible. I mean, with that opening from Bulldozer there was just sublime, dealing so much damage, LT. But tactically, picking the right, monsters and units and such. I mean, he came back in the end, didn't he? Chene did the business.
Certainly did, and we saw a very flashy opening coming in from him, but that Leica managed to pull through in the end, soloing the 3 monsters of Unarmed, and that Leica looked very scary with the 23,000 crit on a non-defense broken unit without an attack buff.
And indeed, we're going into the next match. It's all on this one now. Unarmed has to fight back, otherwise Chene gets his ticket for the Europe Cup. Gentlemen, this is the big one. I can't wait.
Yeah.
We're picking and banning. It's all on this one.
Match point on the side of Chene, and Chene is gonna probably look at a cleave this time around because Bastet was pre-banned in the first fight. So I'm very curious how this is gonna go. Unarmed again in a position of 0-1. This time, is he gonna be able to give this attack buff to his Lucian again, or maybe adjust a little bit and do it differently? Well, there is a Draco off the board, so there's not gonna be the same style of cleave as we've seen last game, but there is going to be a Bastet.
Yeah, indeed, the Bastet will most likely be picked from Unarmed side, but Chene doesn't want to have any of that. We were expecting the same ban coming in from Boss in the game too, but he instead opted to go for a, what was it, the Bulldozer ban instead of a Draco. But Chene is like, I'm not having any of that cleave nonsense. I'm going to be banning your Bastet first game and then your Draco second game. And Unarmed is responding with the trusted Bulldozer first pick.
There's a Bulldozer again. Maybe if last game, if the Bulldozer would have stunned the Leica, it would have all gone differently, and we would have talked about the picks and ban phase on the side of Unarmed in a different way. So he's trusting again in this Bulldozer composition. Chene says, my Leica did so well, I'm gonna give you a pat on the head and pick you again. Show me what you've got.
Exactly, and this time Leica Unarmed is definitely, he has seen what this Leica is capable of, and this time he will be way more careful against it, either picking certain units to directly counter the Leica or getting rid of him. And Chene is responding to Unarmed's defense-based nuking team with a Ganymede and a Tyrannus. It's also looking great from Shen's side, Taranis Ganymede combo is crazy because you can constantly reset the cooldowns of the Taranis and you can keep on reviving your teammates and giving that defense buff that Shen likes a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't take the chances of Okeanos missing a strip there. Probably he has to choose between Wedjad either or the Okeanos as the last pick. And there's Unarmed who brings out the Bulwark.
That's very interesting. Bulwark, so far the only thing that Bulwark is doing is countering the Taranis, but I am actually not a huge fan of this Bulwark pick because, especially paired with Raki, because you bring 2 counters to 1 single unit, where if you're that afraid of that unit, you can just take that unit out of the game. I am not so happy. Shen doesn't have to pick a buffing unit. Maybe this is to block Shen from picking a Vejat. That could be the thought process coming in from Unarmed. But Shen still goes for a unit that provides the buff, so I am not so sure if that was the correct pick. What do you think?
I think Vigor is quite strong against both the Raki and the Bulldozer. Maybe he bans out the Bulldozer and says, well, you have a defense buff upcoming, but you don't have attack buff. So this Raki, well, I'm going to deal with your Raki, and then this Bulwark and the rest of the monsters are not going to be able to do that much. So he does ban the Bulldozer, and the Artemiel is being banned on the side of Shen. So we're looking at a very, very revive-heavy comp on Shen's side, with some damage going into, if the game goes late, Vigor and Laika are going to be so strong. And I'm very curious if Unarmed has enough damage to make it into a late game.
Indeed, and this Bulwark will have to do a lot to pull through in this match. Let's see, Unarmed once again going in for the first turn. I'm kind of used to saying this at this point because his Swift sets are so crazy. Choosing to boost up the Bulwark. Will he go for the Taranis first turn, or will he choose to land it on a more squishy unit? He goes for the Laika. We're gonna be seeing a briefing from Raki. Will this be enough damage to take out the Laika? Because we know that Laikas are usually built pretty squishy.
Oh, this is the moment.
That is
for Laika.
Enough damage, and the Laika is out. And suddenly Unarmed is 4 against 3. And thanks to Raki passive, Taranis won't be able to revive the Laika. So that Vigor will have to solo the entire enemy team, and this Bulwark will happily receive all the buffs coming in from Vigor and Taranis' side and turn them into knowledge.
Alright, so that is why I'm not competing anymore. I'm in the caster's boot. I said it was a revive-heavy composition, but you can't revive a monster that is being dealt with by the Raki. So he could do potentially the third skill to give him defense buff, give him a little bit more damage, but obviously he can't revive a monster anymore. But the Bulwark already has 5 stacks, so it's not that bad to bring out all your buffs. Vigor still going for the Raki. Raki can survive because of her, because she killed the monster, and then there's gonna be the nuke on the side of Taranis.
Totally, but that Vigor S1 landing the heal block on the Raki is going to be huge because the Bulwark won't be able to heal the Raki back up to full. And the Raki will have maximum 1 or 2 turns coming in here. But she's also provoked, so she won't be able to use the S2. This Raki is not going to be doing much. As I was saying, he is landing the briefing on the Bulwark. Who will this go on? That's interesting. I would have gone for the Raki, to be honest, but probably Unarmed knows what he's doing.
Well said about the Raki being being HP broken. Can't heal there because of that HP block, and there is the Raki is gone. There is a lot of sustain on the side of Shen, but does he want to use it because the Bulwark is stacking up? I am looking at a composition right here where is there enough damage on the side of Unarmed? I'm not sure.
I'm also not sure, and guys, keep in mind that this Bulwark can do a lot of damage. He's gonna do 50% of probably this Taranis' health, but he cannot kill units. He only leaves them at 1 HP, so he needs to have a follow-up damage coming in after this Bulwark.
Yeah, he does. There is, though, quite some stacks coming up by the Olivia, giving turns to this to herself actually, and Immacity giving obviously 2 stacks to the Bulwark. So this This Tyrannus needs to die twice at least though, because of the resets that come from the Ganymede. And Ganymede is able to seal the magic on Olivia, not being able, even though she cycled herself into another turn, she's not able to do her third skill quite quickly. And this Bulwark also has has HP block, so there is not going to be a heal on its own side.
Unless we see a proc here, we don't. That proc would have been huge, cleansing the heal block of the Bulwark side, but things are looking once again not very amazing for Unarmed. This Bulwark, so that's the problem with Bulwark. Once the enemy decides that they're not going to be buffing up anymore, he's doing nothing. Let's see here. Will Chene choose to buff up? No, he's going for the third skill. He knows that the Tyrannus still has the cooldown on his passive so that he can revive up in the beast form.
Yeah, he can, but this is looking like there's a lot of cycling with Olivia and giving the Bulwark quite some stacks with Olivia as well. Olivia with the Immensity slowing down the opponent, with the Vigor not daring to use second skill to speed up the team, to use the speed buff. There's quite some turns on the side of Unarmed.
I agree, but do you agree with that choice to go for the third skill on the Ganymede instead of the Tyrannus? Because I think that Tyrannus had such low HP that the Immensity follow-up could have knocked him down. Now we are seeing a much healthier Tyrannus on the field with the soul protection hanging on his head.
Yeah, the soul protection is on his head, but
not anymore.
It's stripped right now. Not anymore.
Yeah, and this is the dilemma that Chene is facing. Should he heal, but then give Bulwark the 5 stacks? He chooses not to. He's going for the S1 heal block. He lands it. This Vigor must have a lot of accuracy or some artifacts of some sort, because he's landing every single heal block on a unit that is supposedly built on high resistance.
Yeah, that is very, very big. But the Soul Protect is up now for the Bulwark. He is stunned as well. Olivia has second skill up again. So next time there's not going to be a heal block. There's not going to be a heal coming from Bulwark. But is the Bulwark even surviving this turn? Chene is hoping on a crit. There was the Soul Protect.
Yeah, that was huge, because if he survived, if Chene didn't count correctly the briefing turns, he could have paid for it with this game, but great plays coming in from both sides, and this is a very intense game with not a lot of damage happening, but each decision that these players make have a huge impact on the result.
Yeah. There's... Oh, the Tyrannus is gone. That was a huge crit on the side of Immensity. And that is Unarmed showing us wrong. His composition does have enough damage. His composition does have enough damage if the Vigor is unable to do the heal, his second skill. With the glancing going on the Vigor, not enough damage on the Bulwark. Wow. This is going into a third game.
Let's see, is this enough damage? Maybe that is indeed enough damage. Wait, let's not, let's hold on to our horses and let's see what's going to be happening. I think this Immensity still has enough damage to take down the Vigor, but yeah, definitely the Immensity will be taking... Okay, we can let go of our horses and...
Wow, this fight goes around and around.
Yeah.
I was thinking I am wrong again. I'm wrong constantly this game, but there was so many turns on the side of Unarmed with the third skill of Immensity, with the second skill of the Olivia. So many turns, and there was quite some damage actually.
I think that genuinely could have been our most intense set of the day. I thought with the Leica going out incredibly early from Unarmed there, Chene was down to 3, but it just kept going back and forth. It was an incredible watch there. I mean, well done to Unarmed for holding his own. We didn't think he had enough attack power ulti, but he came through and he delivered the goods.
Definitely, we forgot about how strong that Immensity scales into late game, because his second skill is scaling off his speed, and we saw in the beginning that that unit was packing some high speed. He was packing a very good Swift set and giving himself the crit rate buff. The second skill was enough to take out the Tyrannus, and that was the turning point of the match.
It certainly was, guys. This is it, the very last set of the day. Whoever wins this goes through to the Europe Cup regionals. I can't wait to see what happens. Gentlemen, let's do it, come on!
Wow, Unarmed showing it again and again. The cleave, his style of play, it is so fun to watch. and let's see how it goes this fight. He says, I can pick Bastet previous game, but I don't have to. I rely on my my bulldozer composition. Even though I don't pick it that often in seasonal play, I know how good it is. I know how the cycling is between Olivia and the Immensity and how many turns you get. And the Bulwark pick surprised us and proved us wrong right there and then. So the Bastet pick, Bastet pre-ban going in, and Okeanos pre-ban going in, just like in the first game, if I recall correctly, respecting the cleave on unarmed side. And there's the first pick on Chene.
Oh my
he picks
God.
away the bulldozer. What a respect from Chene.
I was actually
wow.
bringing this up last game because we see a defense-based team often coming from Chene's side. He has the Vejat, he has the Artamiel. I'm sure he also has the Amelia and Taranis. And I was even thinking like maybe he takes out the Tractor. But this time Unarmed is reaching out to Chene's box and possibly picking out 2 units from that Chene really likes to use that are Taranis and Ganymede. This is, it's almost like the last game, but just the roles are reversed right now.
Yeah, wow, but Chene obviously has the Wedget, and Wedget is really good pairing up with the Bulldozer. So there we see the Wedget indeed, and Artamiel, he loves Artamiel so much, and Artamiel obviously is a really strong pick. We've seen in ladder Bulldozer being picked by really high ranked players together with Wedget. We also see it quite often with the Ragdoll. There's gonna be so many threats on the side of Chene, and unarmed, he probably prepared for a lot of things on the side of Chene, but not on a Bulldozer.
I'm very surprised. Unarmed is so prepared. Every single pick that he's doing is very well thought out. He's like, I'm gonna take the Amelia, but wait a second. What if Chene takes the Bulwark? I don't know if he has it. Maybe he knows. So he's securing both of those units. Bulwark is an interesting unit because he comes with a lot of sustain and some damage. Chene is responding possibly with 2 Oracles. We know how strong these units are, even though Juno was not allowed really in today's matches. We're gonna see a huge impact coming in from Juno. I love these picks coming in from both players, and they're digging deeper into their monster boxes and showing us maybe how deep their rune depth goes.
Wow, yeah, these are definitely some monsters that we didn't expect to see on both sides. Unarmed with the Bulwark Amelia combination, Cien coming in. Wow, this is so interesting, this composition. Cien being picked again. Is Chene gonna respect it again? And there's obviously also the Juno that is quite a bit of a counter to the style of unarmed. But there's not a lot of heals on the side of Chene. So if it goes quite late, the Ganymede and Tyrannus combination is very, very strong.
Indeed, Cien is taken out, but Unarmed is not able to take out the Juno because if he does, he's gonna let the Vejat Bulldozer combination, and if his Tyrannus gets banned out, he's suddenly looking at a 3 versus 4 game from the start, so he had to ban that Vejat out.
Wow, match point for both players. One of these guys is going straight into EU Regionals in November, and this is the deciding match, the final match of today. There is, guys, a code coming up probably, and right now first we have a really exciting match.
Exactly, and we almost went into that game, but then came back to look at these beautiful players, and we see Ciara taking the first turn. That's very interesting, or actually maybe something else happened because I see that Ganymede is reset.
I think the Juno went for the 3rd skill, giving this damage over time. There's no other way to put this damage over time than to have the 2nd skill up from the Juno, I think. There was a bomb. Wait, I'm confused.
Yeah, that was a bomb almost taking down Unarmed Ganymede, but not quite managing to. And now Unarmed will be able to sustain back up.
Yeah, this Bulwark is gonna get a turn, and this Bulwark is gonna be able to heal up with the 3rd skill, going into one of these monsters, probably going into Sierra. There's not a lot of sustain on the side of Chene, and this one is almost killing the Sierra.
Exactly, and also I love that Tyrannus is choosing not to go for the 3rd skill. You can see how experienced these players are, because he knows that Juno can easily strip the soul protection buff. He saw that the Ganymede was low, but he was not worried. he knew that he had everything under control. But if the Sierra manages to snipe out this Tyrannus, then he must get a little worried, because then he will have to put the soul protection on himself. Chene is trying to force the Tyrannus into using the revive on himself, and let's see if that will pay out. And we also have a tractor coming in shortly, most likely gonna be wiping out the Tyrannus unless he gets pushed back down. Okay, the tractor won't be. I keep saying tractor, the bulldozer keep getting pushed back, and we can see that that's not a very fast unit coming in from Chene's side.
Yeah, this monster is built for turn 1 nuke. So it's when there's a lot of pushback from the Gani going on, there's not a lot of turns going on the side of Bulldozer. Bulldozer also already used third skill on the Ganymede, so it's gonna take a while before this Bulldozer is gonna take a huge impact into this game. There is Sierra almost dropping. Is the first skill of Ganymede? It's just not enough. But he is reset, she is reset, and it's gonna take a while before she can cycle. Even Violent proc wouldn't be enough.
Yes, and I love the choice of Tyrannus for going for the third skill on the Bulwark, maxing out his stacks into 5 and doing the most amount of healing and damage possible to the Sierra. And if we see the Sierra drop, that's gonna be a very, very uphill battle for Chene coming up. But the Sierra chooses not to go down, and maybe she gets a proc. She does not. I think this kills our beloved Sierra. Yes, Sierra is done for this game. There's no revives coming in from Chene's side, so things are looking pretty good for Unarmed right now.
There was quite some stuns
huge
right there.
proc
And this
coming in from Amelia.
Wow, that was a really big proc. Amelia now looking much better with the survivability on the rest of the monsters. There's a little bit of heal as well, and this Ganymede is going down. This Bulwark, this Tyrannus already used his third skill, so it's gonna take a while before he's gonna have it back, and this Juno is gonna cycle, and hit this Tyrannus very often. There's not a lot of buffs on the side of Chene, so this Amelia has to give the stacks to Bulwark and sleep. I mean, to freeze the Bulldozer,
which she also does. But this game is looking suddenly very close. We have 3 against 3, but the Tyrannus has his third skill up, I think, and he will be able to revive the Ganymede. And then, if the Ganymede manages to ventilate, that will be all but over for Unarmed. So for Chene, sorry. But Chene manages to take down the Tyrannus. He has to make this count right now. If he manages to take out the Tyrannus once again, things will look very different.
Remember, the Tyrannus used the third skill on the Bulwark to give a little bit of extra stacks, and I think it's not up yet. It's gonna be quite some turns actually before it's up, and if at this rate of stunning this Tyrannus, it's gonna be even longer.
Yeah. We saw there
so
he was
stuns.
on 2-turn cooldown. You're right. I thought maybe that he got knocked out of his passive, by his passive, that maybe he had it back up, but he doesn't. There's still 2 turns remaining, and this is looking great for Chene all of a sudden, and that Bulldozer is hanging on by his thread, and he will be able to get a huge third skill nuke.
This is one premium Juno right here, doing some damage, but also some critical stuns on this Amelia. And there's a crit on the side. Whoa, double crit on the side. Wow, this Bulldozer showing it in this brilliant.
And the revenge taking out the Bulwark right there. Exactly what Chene was looking for. That Arta is so scary, and things are looking not great. And this Juno has a field day against Chene, and Chene is securing his ticket to the Europe Cup. What a turnaround.
So Chene, 3 SWCs in a row. He is there again. Chene is our